I'm a mother of three. My husband Claude 60 meters and I both come from vintage money. Our households are very wealthy and had been for over a century. We had plenty in commonplace while we first met in our young adults. Each folks turned into an only toddler, and each people sort of located the lifestyle of our lives to be embarrassing and snobby. We didn't emerge as dating till our early 20s, however, it turned into very plenty for love. Our dad and mom all handed over a 10-year span while we were in our late 20s to mid-30s. As the handiest heirs to the estates of outstanding families, we have become very, very rich with the blended inheritance. Further, my husband has carried out very well dealing with the estates, investments, and businesses of our households for the ultimate 30 years. Now, not being one to simply take a seat around ingesting tea and searching pretty, I got into the actual estate market, which I admit is something this is simpler to do when you already have tons of disposable cash accessible. I now own numerous homes on the West Coast that turn high-quality profits. We instilled a number of price closer to difficult work into our three children. We both agreed earlier than we were given married changed into simply because we're rich doesn't suggest we should be useless. Glaringly, similar to we were, our children had been extraordinarily privileged. However, we attempted to mirror a standard childhood revel in. They chores, they were required to get jobs after they have been young adults. Yes, they knew pricey motors. Yes, they went to pinnacle private faculties. But we did our first class to make certain they didn't flip out like our buddies. I put that during charges due to the fact Claude and I always air-quoted whilst we said friends at the same time as growing up. So lots of them were beyond helpless. It changed into definitely sad, and needless to say many have long gone from helpless to nugatory as adults. Our oldest son, Byron 33M, has emerged as a hit legal professional. He married his longtime female friend Ming about 4 years in the past. Our center baby become our best daughter, Darcy 30F. She remains single and has long passed into a number of philanthropies that we are very happy with. Our youngest son, Damian 27 meters, is my problem in scripting this. 7 years ago, he met his now spouse, Kylie 27F, at the same time as he became in college. They have got supplied us our best grandchild, Grand 2M. Not like our older youngsters that selected to move to traditional Ivy League schools. He elected to visit San Diego Country University. This becomes satisfactory. It became his choice. He has usually been his own character. He become extraordinary from the alternative too. They always regarded to include the expectancies. Usually vary a whole lot suit the mold you count on of people born into this kind of lifestyles. Damian did no longer. He was quieter, but sure of himself. I bear in mind when he become very younger he rarely ever cried for any purpose. As he grew up it appeared like he was frequently the middle of interest, yet he needed none of that. I regularly concept he might be just as glad in a room of his 10 closest pals or completely by myself for per week. Damian went into a tech subject and now works as a software program developer. He manifestly wants for nothing with hundreds of thousands in his consider, but I find it refreshing that he lives the manner he chooses to, and no longer by way of the degree someone of his reputation is anticipated. Kylie, for being a everyday lady, has in shape in very well with our own family. I've always said Damian honestly lucked out along with her. She is the most fascinating type girl. She continually seems clearly enthusiastic about Damian. They have so many commonplace pursuits, and she or he is lovely on top of that. Kylie in no way disappoints when with the circle of relatives either. She takes the actual hobby in all people and can't wait to dive into something we've got planned. She has been a very quick examine at society occasions too, constantly impressing, which I understand can be tough whilst you don't grow up in it. Our grandson is simply the sweetest little boy, and I really like him so much. That is also what makes the news I acquired so hurtful. I recently had a pal visit me that I had no longer visible in person in some years. It become actually best catching up, due to the fact the closing time I noticed her become nearly 4 years ago whilst she were given divorced from her husband after 34 years of marriage. We didn't surely communicate about what happened then, But I do recognize that she had determined her husband was a frequent customer of an escort provider. All through her visit with me, we commonly just got caught up on our present-day lives. However, towards the give-up of the go to the communicated flip in the direction of her ex-husband, there has been virtually some lingering bitterness there. As she talked, it became to disappointment. She expressed it's been sincerely tough on her because she is aware of she, by no means, seemed just like the ladies he was purchasing. She had even observed a number of their images on her ex-husband's laptop. She pulled her smartphone out, a few tears forming, and opened her pictures. They were like classified ads. Those have been what the escort corporation dispatched for clients to pick out from. She scrolled through some, keeping the cell phone. So I ought to see. I didn't really want to peer. As she began venting, saying, how turned into I presupposed to compete with that. I used to be commonly seeking to console my friend, one because I knew this had to be tough, but additionally because I knew she could be embarrassed having shown a lot emotion. That became till I noticed the tattoo. I ended my pal scrolling. There have been most effective 3 or 4 pics she had gone through. The female on this picture appeared exactly like Kylie, nicely at the least like she appeared whilst she become 20 to 21 years antique. That would have been around the time her and Damian met, perhaps their first year of dating. I may want to have rationalized the same look. From time to time people just look lots alike. But inside the photograph, you could just barely see a part of the same Bulbasaur tattoo that Kylie has on her inner bicep. It must be her, I'm certain of it. I don't need to destroy my son's marriage. Perhaps he knows about this, a part of her beyond. I won't judge. I swore a long term ago that I wouldn't become one of these humans. It's simply that this photograph ought to very well be from after they were courting, and I experience my son has a proper to recognize. I don't need him to get harm if something comes out later. I think the best course is for me to perform a little personal detective paintings and determine out if this is all inside the beyond, how a long way within the past, and to what extent. Then I can go to my son with all of the data.